Hello, and welcome to your Local Law 29 agency-based voter registration training. My name is Matthew Pitt, and I'm your Local Law 29 liaison. The New York City Campaign Finance Board, through NYC Votes, promotes voter registration, voting, civic engagement, through community outreach, and partnerships with public and private organizations. What we primarily do is voter education, participation, registration, and civic engagement. We are here because under New York City Local Law 29, 63, and Mayoral Directive 1 of 2014, city agencies are required to distribute voter registration forms to clients when they first apply for services or when they recertify or change their address. The training here will assist your agency with the preparation of voter registration distribution plans to meet these mandates, as well as frontline staff to properly interact with the public as they roll out these services. Here you will see a list of agencies that are covered under Local Law 29. If your agency is not listed, please contact me and let me know. Under Local Law 29, city agencies are required to implement and administer a program of distribution of voter registration forms in person, online, and via mail. Agencies are also required to physically incorporate voter registration forms to all applications for services, renewal, or certification for services, such that the voter registration portion may be detached. This also includes change of address relating to these same services. Agencies must include a mandate in all new or renewed agreements with subcontractors to implement and administer a program of distribution of voter registration forms. And agencies must receive and transmit voter registration forms to the Board of Elections within 2 weeks of receipt. Here we will cover the steps to voter registration, which includes operations and public interface. Here for operations, we will cover how to prepare your office to roll out voter registration services, mandated programs, ordering Code 9 registration forms, voter spotlights, tracking and reporting, and submitting the voter registration forms. Preparing your office. Here are a few things to consider when preparing your office for voter registration services. Ordering Code 9 voter registration forms in the quantity and languages needed from the Board of Election. Ordering signage from NYC Votes. Surveying and identifying all points of public contact. Determining public traffic in each area. Confirming materials and distributing them to your sites. Placing signage in public points. Delivering the voter registration services, tracking and reporting your success. Mandated programs should include offering voter registration forms with written application, providing assistance with the form, receiving and transmitting voter registration forms to the Board of Elections within 2 weeks of receipt, adopting and promoting guidelines, providing voter registration forms with agency mailings, physically incorporating voter registration forms, and prominently displaying signage. To order Code 9 registration forms, please place a request by email to the Coordinator of Voter Registration at the Board of Elections, Beth Fasella, and carbon copy Matthew Pitt, Onita Coward Mayers, and Bonda Lee Cunningham at the Mayor's Office. Voter registration forms are available in English, Spanish, Chinese, Korean, and Bengali. They come in boxes of 1,000 forms only. Also, voter registration forms are available in additional 11 languages such as Italian, Greek, French, Polish, etc., and can be ordered only from us at NYC Votes. Voter spotlights are pictures that highlight an upcoming election, much like the one you see here. That can be placed on your agency's website and linked directly to our website, voting.nyc. During an election cycle, our agency will send a voter spotlight to your agency's voter coordinator to place on your website. Agency coordinators have been provided a link to the voter registration tracker that is unique to your agency. If you are confused about this, please feel free to speak with your agency coordinator to familiarize yourself with your agency's process for entering this data. Here you will see a picture of what the voter registration tracker looks like. All completed voter registration forms should be mailed to the Board of Elections at least weekly. If a completed form is accepted within 5 days before the last day for registration to vote in a citywide election, Such completed forms shall be transmitted by the participating agency to the Board of Elections of the City of New York in a manner that will ensure that it will be received or postmarked by the registration deadline. Here you will also see a list of all of the Board of Election offices in each borough. Please note that the central office will be open on midnight on each voter registration deadline. Public interface. Here we will discuss how to engage with the public, which includes voter registration etiquette, understanding the voter registration form, election day worker recruitment, voting by absentee ballot, and voting rights. Voter registration etiquette. Here we will cover the do's and don'ts of voter registration etiquette. For do's, please be pleasant. Ensure that the applicants know that the voter registration services does not affect their eligibility for city services. Please make sure you offer the voter registration forms in the same manner you would any other agency services. Please let the applicant know that you can accept their completed form or they can put it in the mail for themselves. Please let the applicant know that they will receive confirmation from the Board of Elections within 2 to 3 weeks. And if translation services are required, please let the translator know that the applicant can also register to vote. For don'ts, please do not influence an applicant's party enrollment choice. Do not make any statements supporting or opposing a political party, candidate, or a PAC. And please do not sign the registration forms for them. They must sign it for themselves. Here, we will go over the voter registration form in its entirety. Question 1. Are you a citizen of the United States? Here we will discuss the voter registration form in its entirety. Question 1. Are you a citizen of the United States? If the answer is yes, they may continue to register to vote. If the answer is no, they cannot register to vote. You must be a citizen of the United States in order to be a registered voter in the state of New York. Question 2. Will you be 18 years of age or older on or before Election Day? If the answer is yes, they may register to vote. If the answer is no, however, they cannot register to vote. However, if they are 17 years old and they will be turning 18 by the end of the year, they are eligible to register to vote, but they cannot vote until they turn 18. Question 3 requests your first and last name. Please place them as it appears on your identification. Question number 4 asks for your birth date. Please also place that as well. Please make sure you write legibly as well. And also section number 6 and 7 is optional. However, you should provide them should there be a mistake on your voter registration form, as the Board of Elections will try to contact you. Question 8 requests the address and where you live. Please place that as well, as it is important to locating where your poll site will be. However, if you receive mail at a different address, please put the mailing address or your P.O. box in box number 9. Question 10 asks if you voted before. If you have, please check yes. If not, please check no. And if you have voted before, in question number 11, please state what the last year was in which you voted. This section is optional, and it will only help the Board of Election locate your voting record. Question 12 asks for any updating information that you may have for your voter registration form. So if your name or your address has changed, please place it here. Question 13 asks for your identification. Please note that you don't have to put in both your DMV number or your social security number. They only ask for one or the other. If you have neither, please check off the third box. And when you go to the poll site, you'll be asked to show 2 forms of identification at the poll site. And that will be a photo ID and a proof of address, such as a utility bill. Question 14 asks for your political party. Please note that if you wish to vote in a primary election, you must be a member of a political party. Also note that if you want to change your party, you can only do it once a year, and you have to complete a new registration form and submit it no less than 25 days before the general election. Question 15 asks if you will need to have an absentee ballot or if you want to work on election day for the Board of Elections. If so, please check off either of these 2 boxes. And question 16, once you're finished, please sign and date. Please make sure you review the voter registration form to ensure that all boxes have been completed and that the form is signed and dated. Please pay attention to boxes 1 through 5, 8, 13, 14, and 16. Once that's done, you can congratulate the applicant on registering to vote and inform them that they will receive a voter confirmation card and their poll site location in the mail within 2 to 3 weeks. At the top portion of the card, you will see that there's an option for one to become an organ donor. If the person wants to, they can fill this out, but please note that this doesn't have to be filled out. It's completely optional and it does not affect your right to vote. Poll workers and interpreters are needed across the city. Poll workers earn up to $575 and interpreters can earn up to $460. You must be 18 years of age or older to apply. Poll workers must be U.S. citizens and registered to vote in New York City, and interpreters must be permanent U.S. residents, New York City residents, and fluent in English, Spanish, Chinese, Korean, or Bengali. You can receive an application by contacting the Board of Elections at 866-VOTE-NYC or on their website at www.vote.nyc.ny.us. Voting by absentee ballot. Registered voters who cannot make it to the polls on Election Day because of occupation, business, studies, travel, imprisonment other than a convicted felon, illness, disability, and hospitalization or residency in a long-term care facility may vote by absentee ballot, whether by mail or in person at their borough office. Absentee voting in person begins as soon as the ballots are available, at least 32 days before an election, and ends on Election Day. Mail-in absentee ballots requests must include the following information: name, address on voter registration form, mailing address if it's different, a reason for voting absentee, and signature. In-person absentee voting is conducted at the Board of Elections borough office. The hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and on the weekend prior to the election on Saturday 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You cannot apply for an absentee ballot on Election Day. You can deliver a completed absentee ballot and envelope to the borough office on Election Day up until 9 p.m. Please check the Board of Elections website for a list of dates pertaining to each election and the additional days and hours for in-office absentee voting. By mail absentee voting. In order to vote by mail, you must request an absentee ballot application. Please fill out the application using a pen with blue or black ink. Then mail it or bring the application to your Board of Elections borough office. You can download the application online at the Board of Elections website. You can also receive an application by visiting their offices or by calling 1-866-VOTE-NYC, and they will send you a postage-paid application form in the mail. Emergency absentee ballots. If the deadline for requesting an absentee ballot by mail has passed, and you believe that you will not be able to go to your poll site on Election Day to vote in person, then you or a representative with a letter signed by the voter authorizing the representative to receive in person at the borough office both an application and a ballot by the close of business the day before the election. To be valid, both the completed application and ballot envelope, which contains only the completed ballot, has to be delivered to a Board of Election office by 9 p.m. on Election Day at your borough office. Voting rights. Persons formerly incarcerated in the state of New York may register to vote or vote at any election if he or she has been pardoned or restored the rights of citizenship by the governor, or if his or her maximum sentence of imprisonment has expired. Under Executive Order 181, parolees under the supervision of the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision may receive a conditional pardon that will restore their voting rights. Parolees must consult with their parole officer at the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision to find out if they are indeed eligible, as the Commissioner of the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision is instructed to compile a monthly list that will be reviewed and considered for pardon that will restore voting rights. Homeless residents are allowed to vote thanks to a landmark case that occurred in 1984. For example, if one is homeless, they can write a location in which they can be found, such as a bench on Central Park on 86th Street in Box 8, and in Box 9, they'll have to write down where they receive mail, whether that be a shelter or a P.O. box. Victims of domestic violence. Victims of domestic violence are permitted to protect their confidentiality when registering to vote. If you are a victim of domestic violence who would like your voter registration information be made confidential, before you register, you can apply for an order granting confidentiality and requiring that your records be kept separate from other voter registration records. Once ordered, those separate records cannot be seen or copied by anyone other than election officials. When you take a copy of that order to your local board of elections and register to vote, your records will be made confidential and not made available to the public. Victims of domestic violence can also be excused from going to their polling place to vote and get a special ballot from their local board of elections office. For further information, you should contact your local board of elections office for their confidentiality registration and special ballot procedures. Remember, if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact myself, and this concludes our training session. Thank you.